Those who are standing at the back, please come in front. There are 6 available here. Friends, we have all gathered here to deliberate, discuss and find out some solution for a very, very important subject which is dear to all the Goans, and that is in sports, football. We have today with us the Honorable Minister for Sports, Sri Goan ji, Executive Director of Sports Authority of Goa, Dr. Gita Nagvekar, President of Goa Football Association, Sri Kaitan, Sri Derek, Sri Brahmanand, Arjun Awadi, various panelists who have been called here to discuss and deliberate on this important topic, President of BPS Club, Yogiraj Kamath, all the coaches, all the players, all the participants who have joined here today this morning for this football summit. Friends, I welcome you all on this historic occasion. I would say historic because we all know that football has been dear to all of us. And Goa was considered as one of the top 3 states in the country in the football. I have been witness to many matches. I have even attended some matches in Bombay during my college days to see the matches. And wherever, in any trophy, any championship, Goa, Kerala, Bengal were the 3 states, important states in the country which really ruled the football up to those days. And lately we have seen that something is going wrong, something which we expected is not happening in spite of all the support, all the criteria being adopted by the government. See, government has been supporting the sports right from day one. In fact, Sports Minister is very eager to see that we retain that glory once again. And that is, he has supported this summit full-heartedly. His presence today morning indicates that he is going to come tomorrow evening to see, go through the recommendations also. But this summit is aimed with we are moving with a particular target. And target is that you interact with all the sections, all the stakeholders who are part of the football, who want at heart football to come up and who are going to come up with serious recommendations. And I am sure that the Sports Minister and the Chief Minister of Goa, Dr. Pramod Samant, will give full support to the recommendations which will be placed before them, because these recommendations are coming from the stakeholders. It's not Tom, Dick and Harry simply saying something, recommending something. After deliberations, there is going to be a presentation on the recommendations, and then the valedictory function will be attended by all of us, and we will see how best these recommendations can be implemented. Government will fully support us on this issue, and I am happy that all the panelists have come, all the coaches who have been invited have come, and their contribution is going to be very important. So I request all of you to come out with open heart, all your suggestions, all your recommendations, what you think Goa should do to regain the glory of football in the national and international level. With these words, I once again welcome you and thank all the participants who have come here. I congratulate Goa Football Association and Goa Football Development Council for taking this initiative. It is really a good initiative, I would say. When they approached me, I said, go ahead, full-hearted support. In fact, Sports Minister also liked the idea. He had also extended his full support. He was there for press conference. He came today morning also for the inaugural ceremony. And I'm sure that we should all work out with only one aim. Let us make football the glory of Goa. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm sure Goa is going to regain her lost glory again. May I request Shri Govind Gowde, the Honorable Minister for Sports, a beacon of inspiration and leadership, whose presence enriches our program, to kindly address the gathering.
Good morning to you all. Goa Football Development Council, in association with the Goa Football Association, it's the first kind of summit has been organized in the state of Goa, and on this occasion we have Honorable MLA of Margao and ex-Chief Minister of Goa, Shriman Digambarji Kamath, my own GFDC Member Secretary and the Executive Director of Sports Authority of Goa, Madam Dr. Gita Nagvikar, the person who has shouldered the responsibilities of the Goa Football Association and marching towards development of the football, putting every passion and determination, what is the responsibility, what is the duties has been assigned, and to make this football, to take this football to a greater height. That is President of the GFA, Sri Caetano Fernandez, our own Padma Shri, who has given the best for the country, Shriman Brahmananda Shankavalkarji, Shri Derek Ji, all the prominent experts in the field of the football discipline, the personalities who has given the immense contribution towards the development of this football and making football a state sport, which has been announced by the government of Goa in the year 2012. And this has happened only because the people or the sports or the footballers has taken the immense effort for promotion of this football. Once upon a time, when there was no infrastructure, the people or the whatever I have seen, the great footballers who has been represented to Goa, who has represented to the India, has been played on the rough grounds with the barefoots. But today, I think at least in the field of the football, the government of Goa and the private sector, the NGOs, the academics has enough and efficient infrastructure in the state of Goa. But only lack is that the passion or the motivation we need to give to the young football minds. There are n numbers of reasons. Perhaps the football may go on to a little downline. Because once upon a time, when we go 30 years, 40 years back, football or the cricket was only two major sports were playing in the state of Goa. But now there are almost 50 disciplines has been played in the state of Goa, and every player is taking the keen interest in their interested field or the chosen field. And maybe the one reason the people or the football young minds is not attracting to the football. But there are so many people, what I have seen that during the rainy season, during the hot season, summer season, everybody is playing the football. But the football which they are playing, we need to give a motivation, we need to give them a platform. And that is why today's summit has been organized by the GFDC and GFC. I am congratulating to my own Executive Director and the GFA President and Honorable MLA of Margao, who has come all with these innovative ideas. See, unless and until we make a debate discussion, and when we are going to get the prominent intentions from the people who has given the best in the field of the football, the expertise is very important. There are so many professional clubs, amateur clubs, but we need to promote or we need to give some support, and that is why government is keen enough to support not only the football discipline but every discipline, because it is our prime duty, because we can get the name and fame in only two fields, that is the sports and the art and culture. And luckily both the departments are with me, and before I become the MLA I was talking on the two fields, two disciplines, two streams, that is the art and culture and the sports, which can give the glory to our state, our country. And that is why after deliberate discussion, the panelists will going to put their experience before, and they are also going to answer the questions which has been raised by the presentees over here. I'm not going to talk more on this. I just wanted to listen also. I'm also going to wait for some time. But my only appeal to each and every Goans or the prominent football club president or their executive committee members, the professional clubs, we have also decided to give the support, little bit support to the other clubs also who is going to give the best. But most of the people, most of the clubs expect a lot of things from the government. But unless and until you give the performance or you show the results, it's very difficult government to support in all angles. And that is why I just urge and appeal to each and every, and especially to the Goa Football Association, my GFDC. There are so many centers are also running. We had to appoint also the coaches to give the boost to the young minds. After deliberate discussion by the panelists and the issues raised by the young minds or the people from the sporting field, especially the football discipline. And also I appeal to each and every print media and the electronic media, the reporters, to also take an active part, because they are the people who understand, who listens. They are the people who knows, and the people around the sporting grounds, they are talking the negative also, the positive also, and they are the much more experienced, because we just wanted to share our experience, because most of the time many clubs or the many sports personality is not coming directly to the department or the my sports authority of Goa. They just give some suggestions to the media, and then media is getting it, because media is a good friend. If we want to develop the football or any field, then media has to play a very important role, vital role. And that is why media people and the media has also have to give their suggestions. I thanks to each and everyone who has been present over here. And thank you, the president of the PPS Margao, Mr. Yogiraj Kamath, who has been given the all support to organize this summit. I thanks each and every executive committee member of the GFA, all the participants for making this and taking this summit. And I hope this summit will reach to a greater height. Thank you one and all. Let us play football. Let us take this football and bring the same glory which was there in the year 2004, 2005 and in the year 1990s, wherever the elderly people who has taken each and every Goa's football moment to the international level. I hope the international players will be created from the state of Goa, as it is rightly mentioned by the Honorable MLA, Shriman Digambar Kamath. that once upon a time Goa, Kerala and Bengal were the pioneer states in developing the football. Let us take this football because football आमच्या सगळ्या रक्तान आसा. जशे गोंयकाराक शीत आणि कडयेचो एक आस्वाद आसा तसोच तरेचो प्रत्येक मनीस संवसारान येवचे पयलू किक मारूनच जन्माक आयिल्लो आहा. कारण ताच्या आवयच्या पोटान तो किक मारतालो आणि आवयक एक सांगतालो की हांव म्हजी तूं चिंता करूं नाका. आणि ही चिंतेचे जे थंड जर रावलो जाल्यार आवयच्या पोटाक आकांत येतालो आणि म्हणून त्या वेळार किक मारतालो पयलीं तेन्ना आवयक दिसतालें म्हजो भुरगो खेळटा, म्हजो भुरगो हांसता, म्हजो भुरगो खदळटा. आणि म्हणूनच हेच आमकां मुखार व्हरपाक जाय. आणि त्या प्रमाणे फुटबॉल जे स्टेट स्पोर्ट्स म्हणून डिक्लेअर जाल्लो आसा ताका एक मुखार आनीक उंचाय दिवया. कितें जर कमी जर असलें जाल्यार म्हाजो डिपार्टमेंट जे आसा ते डिपार्टमेंट सपोर्ट करपा खातीर तयार आसतलें इतलेंच सांगता आनी म्हजे एक दोन शब्द आटोपते घेता. Thank you each and everyone.
Good morning everybody and a big welcome for the GFDC Football Summit 2024. The Football Summit is organized by GFDC in association with Goa Football Association and with active support of OZ Association for Well-being of Elderly Sportsperson. And before going further, I would like to commend one person here who is the brainchild for this summit to happen. And that is, I would say, Sir Albert Ulasu. Let's try to put our hands together. Now I would like to call all our four panelists, Shabir Ali Sir, Derek Pereira, Pradyum Reddy and Mariano Das. Please try to take your chairs. As we have heard from Jenny that there are 8 sessions going on to be done through the day, and ours is the first session on coaching, pre and post license period. We will discuss a little bit on how coach education came into existence in India. We will also touch upon how coach education does help coaches for their development and for the development of players and through that development of the game. As some of you must be aware, coach education came into existence through NIS diplomas and AFC courses. And NIS courses started way back in 1962-63 before I was born. And it was conducted in 3 centers in Patiala, Bangalore and Calcutta. But right now it is done only in Calcutta at the moment. It's a 10-month diploma which they have, starts from April and finishing in July. And if we try to talk about AFC courses, AFC coach education activities started in 1989 when the coach education technical department of the AFC was formed. And the AFC had their first education, coach education in C license in 1994. And they started in phases to experience how coach education can help evolve players and the game. And from there, they did B and A licenses in 96 and 97. AIFF did not have local coach educators to conduct courses. So AIFF had to depend on AFC to ask for coach educators to come down to India to conduct courses. And slowly, AIFF then tried to prepare local coach educators, and for the moment, there are a lot of local coach educators conducting courses. Now this is a brief what I wanted to discuss on NIS diplomas, AFC courses. And there was a big debate some time back that some who attended NIS diploma, they said NIS is the best. Some said AFC courses are good. Now, is NIS diploma needed? Yes, because it's a prerequisite for coaches who attend NIS diplomas to get a government job. And now comes the club licensing criteria, which did come into prominence in 2014 in the country. And club licensing criteria did not consider enhanced diplomas as a criteria for a coach to coach a club. So this is what I wanted to talk about briefly. Now to cover this topic on coaching pre and post license period, we have 40 minutes and 15 minutes for Q&A if you all have any questions for the panelists. And tomorrow, the panelists along with the moderators will sit together to brainstorm what are the things which we really need to develop in coach education, in development of coaches, in coaching, and how we can develop the players and the game. And tomorrow we will try to present it and give it to GFDC and GFA for future action to be taken. Now to do that, we have 4 panelists, esteemed panelists amongst ourselves. We have first Shabir Ali sir, who is a Dhyan Chand awardee, AIFF executive member, who has got a very good playing record, played for the country from 74 to 84, captained India in 81 and 84, played for the country 102 caps, scoring 30 goals. That is about his playing career. Coaching career comes where he coached state teams of Telangana, West Bengal, Goa, and club football comes from coaching Mohammedan, Salgaonkars, Mahindra and Mahindra, Vasco, Churchill Brothers, and at present he is the president of Abbas Union, which did take part in playoffs which they narrowly missed to get back in the I-League 2. Coming back to his coach education, he has done his NIS in Calcutta 88-89. He did 2 courses in Germany in 94 and 90, and last year he got his A diploma. This is Shabir Ali, one of our panelists for you. Can we have a round of applause? Our second panelist, who is our very own Goan, Derek Pereira, the president of Oz, a warrior on the field, which we all have seen him. Played for the national team from 84 to 91. Played for Salgaonkar for 16 years. I was one more than you, Derek. I played 17. Because he went to Tata. So 16 years, 80-83, and played for Tata in 83-84. Coaching at various clubs started with Salgaonkar under 19, then with Vasco Sports Club, Mahindra United, Pune FC, Salgaonkar, DSK Shivajians. He was the head coach of under 23 national team. Technical director also, he was there of youth development of FC Goa and a pro diploma holder. He has also attended a coach education Raymond Verayan on conditioning course. This is Derek Faraz. Can we give him a round of applause, please? The third panelist we have is Pradyum Reddy, who is the CEO at the moment with Depot Sports Club. And we all know they have been promoted to the I-League this year. His coaching career started in US with Manhattan College, director of coaching in New York. And his coaching back started in India with Shillong Lajong. He was with Bangalore FC in the I-League. In ISL, he had different roles in the Delhi Dynamos as a technical consultant, with Pune FC City, TD, head coach, assistant coach, and with Odisha FC as sporting director, consultant in 2022. At present, he is the coach educator with the AIFF, conducting CB, and he is assisting in restructuring the coach education program. He is also a panelist in ISL and in the World Cup, providing expert analysis, which you must have heard now since the ISL is going on. In coach education, he has done a lot of courses, although he has finished BE and Pro in India. But he has his coaching, director of coaching in NSCAA. He has also got a USSFA license and lot more license courses under NSCAA, USSF and UEFA level 3. This is Pradyum Reddy for you. Please give a round of applause for Pradyum. And another very good of our own Fourth panelist will be Mariano Dias today. At present he is the technical coordinator and the director with GFA and also a coach educator with GFF. Played for Salgonga Sports Club, MRF Churchill Brothers, represented Goa in juniors and seniors. Coach teams of Churchill Brothers winning the I-League and the Federation Cup. Coach Cesar Goa won Santosh Trophy for Goa, which we have seen a picture, but he is not to be seen in that picture. Right, Marian? So, assistant coach for senior national team and assistant coach for Salgonga Sports Club. He holds a pro diploma also in the country. So we have 3 coaches. Round of applause, please. So we have 3 coaches who have a pro diploma and a diploma sitting on the panel here. So now, as I just said, we are going to talk about coaching, pre and post licensing period. My first question would go to Shabir Ali sir. You can have the mic there. You have undergone NIS diploma and also attended courses in Germany and attended a diploma in India. Can you share your thoughts on what made you to go through these courses and in what way did it help you in your coaching? Over to you, sir.
Before I answer your question, I would like to thank Mr. Albert Kolasma and my friend Barmana for inviting me over here. I think I am the only odd man from outside. But I learned a lot when I was with Salgaonkar and other clubs in Goa. Really, that time, as the Minister Sahab has said, not that infrastructure, now it is there. That time we have to search for the ground and all other things. But from the day one, I enjoy it and I give some result also. Coming back to your question, I played for the country. What I am today is just because of football only, and I am here also because of football. When I finished my career in '87, I just thought I got so many things from football that I have to give back. So that's why I joined the NIS. Most of the coaches, especially in Calcutta, the internationals, they don't want to do the NIS. Even jokingly, I also used to say, NIS means nothing in sports. That I tell in front of my coaches during the NIS also. But what I learned over there, really, maybe equivalent or more than a license, I think. Only thing, NIS is too lengthy and more on the basic. But now, maybe change, I am talking about 88, 89 when I have done the coaching course in Calcutta. So there are a lot of things to learn, they go very deep and all, everything was there which I was not knowing as a player. Then I joined as a coach, I learned a lot of things. Maybe small things also, that the coach has to face the sun and all other things. And another point is, kinesiology, training method, sports medicine, all other things were there. At that time, the coaching license were not there. To me, of course, coach education is a must. The player has to learn or the coach has to learn, but he has to implement. But that time, it was not that much. Now it is there, as the Savio just now said, that with the NIS you can get the job, but with the A license only you have to coach club, you can't get the job. Minus plus always there, as I said, more about basic and not that much about the top football, you can say match analysis and other things. But now with license and with all this, everything you get on the internet. And I also, another thing, some of the players, they used to say, like, kya coaching, kya kuch nahi hai. Of course, lot of things is there, you have to learn, you have to go by the books and all, but not all the time. Sometimes you have to see what you have to get. One thing happened, of course, some formalities, basic or whatever is there. You have to start with the warm-up and all other things, but what I have seen, Derek was with me when Milovan was there. He started with the handball. So in handball you can get anything. This you can do sometime because the players are not in the mood or they don't want to do the routine. So one of the physio was telling when I was in Bombay, you didn't do the warm up and all the thing, you started all of a sudden. So I said, why this I am following, because one of the best coaches in the world, he used to start with the handball so that the player will come into mood. So all things you have to take into consideration, because some of the senior they say what this book, that and all. Of course, education is the must, and you have to learn. And what AFC, AFF doing is a good job. Hope these coaches will come up and give their best. One more point I would like to add, last one. Everyone has to see that they are doing the license, but the problem to get a job with a team, that we have to do. Sometime back, one of the assistant coaches of Goan, he said we are doing a license, but we are not getting the job and all. Last 2-3 years back, he told. And Minister Saab is there. I request also to just give an appointment to the state players and others, because in all other states we are not. This will help me to tell our Chief Minister, Mr. Revanth Reddy, who is a football lover, now at least something is happening. But in other places, not much happening in football.
Thank you very much, sir. One thing what I want to say is, ask again, is it after NIS that it pushed you to attend the courses in Germany and AFF? Yes. Yes or no?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Because to me, there is no end of learning. When I did the A license, the foreign coach was telling, I don't want to kill you and all. I said, I come to learn here. Because I did very late. It was, I think, in 2013. Before that, I got a chance to do from Germany also, where I learned a lot of things, which helped me to coach the top team in India.
Thank you very much, sir. A question for our panelist, Derek Pereira. You have played under some good coaches in your playing career. To come into coaching role, did any of the coaches had any influence on you to take up coaching and subsequently attend coach education? Can you share your thoughts, please?
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Sami, for the intro. My journey as a coach, it's a long story, but I'll make it brief. You don't have much. So my journey started in coaching as soon as the year I resigned from playing football, professional football. Having played for nearly 2 decades as a professional, the only thought in my mind was to stay connected with football. And the only option for me was coaching. So as the day I retired, to our good fortune, Sir Albert Gulasso organized a C license course here in Goa, which helped me to I finished my C license, and then I got an assignment as an assistant coach to under-19 Salgonga team, which lasted only 2 months. And then I was part of the staff, coaching staff for the Goa's under-21 nationals in Dumka, Bihar, which we won, beating Bengal. The day we landed in Goa, Vasu Club came calling me to train their team in the 2nd division national league then. I readily agreed and I started my coaching there. Since I had played with top coaches, my first coach, Mr. Shanmugam, through whom I learned discipline, to be disciplined on and off the pitch. And the last coach was Mr. Shabir Bhai, who taught us to be serious on the pitch. There were other coaches also, Mr. Sirish Milovan, my first national coach from Yugoslavia. Learned a lot from him too. Mr. P.K. Banerjee, Naimuddin, S.S. Hakim. So I had a lot of, I played under a lot of all these coaches and learned a lot. So this helped me, this experience helped me to go about with my job at that moment. In the first 2-3 years of my work with Vasco Sports Club with just C license. As a footballer, I thought, playing for so many years, I thought I could coach any team with my experience. But no, we need to do the licenses. Doing these licenses help you to improve your ability to coach and manage teams, professional teams. So it's very important that we do our licenses. I would advise, especially players who are retiring or before retiring, to take up their coaching. This was an advice given to me by Danny McLean, the coach of Churchill Brothers, when he was the technical director of Goa State team. So he said, he told me, Camilo, Mauricio, Alfonso, when you are playing, if you do your licenses, you will be ready to take up a team when you retire. And also it will make you a better player. And after doing my licenses, I feel I'm a better player now than when I was playing.
So that is where you show your skills in the veterans tournament, huh?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I would say that we all know in Goa how influential was Mr. Shanmugam to turn our careers, to have that transition from playing to coaching, because we were more time with him than any other coach. May his soul rest in peace, because for me, he tried to change us to what we are today. Thank you, Derek. Going to our panelist of Pradyum. As I had introduced you, you have done some of your licenses outside the country and done AFC licenses from B to Pro in India. What are the major changes that coaches face in Goa today, because it's the summit in Goa, you have been in Goa, you have been coming to Goa, in terms of education and training?
Thank you, Savio. Good morning. So I think one of the biggest things, and this happens across India and especially in Goa too, is our coach education system isn't catered to the customer. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of ex-players or current players, young players, coaches in Goa who might not be fluent in English, might be more comfortable in Konkani, and yet all our coach education, and this is 80 years after independence, every coach education course in India is done through an English medium. And countries in Iran, other places in Asia, they do it in their own languages. So I think we have to adapt, and so then obviously then we could target many, many more people and get more youngsters into coaching if we do that. I think we have to adapt with technology. We're still stuck in old-fashioned ways. I've just finished a B license where we spent the last 2 hours where people were writing an exam. I think we're past that. No coach that goes for a job is ever asked to write an exam and gets his coaching job. If we're hiring coaches at Denver, we look at their ability on the field as coaches. We look at their interaction with the other kids. So I think the coach education has to move to the requirements of the job. So maybe we get more practical coaching and aspects. And I think other areas where we're looking at, like GFDC obviously is working with a lot of youngsters. And that's where we need to grow the coach education. Other countries have specific pathways for youth. And what I mean by that is you can go from your D to your C to your B to your A license. If you want to be a professional coach and go in that pathway, do your pro. Scotland have always had this, many countries now have this, where you can specialize and be a C, B, A license coach only in youth. So you're specializing in that. And it's the same with our education system. You do your B.Ed or your Bachelor's of Physical Education, you do a Master's. It doesn't mean all of you are going to become a university lecturer or coach or teach 10th standard students or high school. You might do a Montessori course and specialize with kindergarten. And I think that's an area where our coach education hasn't caught up with global standards, where we don't target the entry-level footballer, both female players and male players. So we don't specialize in how to coach 5, 6, 7, and 8-year-olds. And if you don't have the basics, as we know in education, if you can't teach kids at school from those early ages, you're going to have problems later. So it's exactly the same in football. So I think that's an area which definitely we need to address as a state, and hopefully that'll have a knock-on influence in the rest of the country and they'll copy and take those changes from us.
One point I take from your suggestion, what you just mentioned, that language. And when it comes to language, if you know, we have more than 22 languages in the country. More than 22. So are we going to, that was a challenge for me when I was heading the coach education, are we going to change the content to each language? Can be done. But do we have competent coach educators in that particular language where it can help the student coaches who are coming? That is a very good point which we can take up, and the point which you had said about technology, we'll try to talk a little bit about more. But thank you, Pradyum, on that. I come to Mariano. You are a coach educator with the AFF from 2016, right? Okay. What are the major changes you have witnessed in coach education that has helped Goan football and Goan coaches and Indian coaches to take up their career in coaching?
Good morning, everyone. I would like to thank the organizers for this opportunity. And coming to your question, Savio, coach education plays a very important role in the coach's development process. So, coach education is the foundation for coaching football. And coaches who have football knowledge, higher are the chances that they develop better quality players. So players need good coaches to develop players. Secondly, if you look at coaching, coaches develop better under the guidance of a knowledgeable and competent coach, and players develop better under the guidance of a knowledgeable and competent coach. So keeping this in mind, I would like to answer your question. Those changes that were observed or witnessed during that decade, the professional players, top players who played or who represented the country also at the national level, and the players who played for the clubs. After the retirement, they tried to do their coach education and try to get the badges. And these players immediately got the opportunity to work in their own clubs or in the academies which All India Football Federation had, the youth development academies at elite level, and also working at club level and grassroots level. I think this opportunity immediately after their retirement has helped them to take football coaching as a career.
Adding to the question which I asked, we are having a lot of GFDC coaches here. It is a GFDC, it is for the development of Goan football. Do you think it has helped Goan coaches, coach education, and in what way?
Yes, coach education has helped to begin with the career at initial level, but they need to develop themselves if they want to go at a higher level, and to develop better players for Goa and for the whole country.
Yeah, there are Goan coaches here, but do you think they need mentoring, guiding after they finish their coaching licenses, or we just leave them for whatever they want to do?
It's not enough that you have done the courses, you have gained the knowledge, but it is also very important to develop your ability to help to improve coaching, and that will not come easily.
Okay.
Just adding one thing, this will help the player to coach them in a proper way, in a correct way also. As I said, as a player, okay, I learned, but the basic and other thing which we were not knowing, this came to know after doing coaching courses.
Adding to that, Mariano, before I go to Shabir Ali sir again, can you share some success stories of positive development of coach education in AIFF? What did really happen for coach education to grow and to be where it is today? Can you share some thoughts?
I think the biggest success in India was the introduction of coach education by Goan in 2011. That was the major success, and after that Scott O'Donnell took over and you took over, and the list of the success is too big. I will touch on few. The first thing was signing of AFC convention with Asian Football Confederation. Then getting the coach educators pathway to India from FIFA, that was another one. And splitting of 13 days course, 21 days course, license course into smaller modules, that has helped the coaches to go back and reflect and come back again. And organizing online international conferences on psychology, scouting, if I can name.
Thank you, Mariano. We are coming closer to the time, but the second round goes to Shabir Ali sir. What I would ask with you is discuss how coaching licenses have changed the landscape for coaches in India, and have they improved coaching quality? That is what the coaches, have they improved the coaching quality?
Yeah, to some extent, yes. As I said before also, coaching is the must. And because of this licensing and all other things, all the states, they have got the D license, C, B and all. At least they know the basic which help them to teach the player in a good way, in a correct way.
Thank you. Coming to Pradyum, you did touch upon technology, which I have a question for you. How can technology be leveraged to improve coach education and coaching in Goa and India? And are there any examples of this being effectively implemented?
I think it depends on what level. I mean, if we're starting with the younger ones, coaching, I think there's a lot of best practices that are conducted abroad. I think Derek and all of us were discussing this before, that there's a lack of games. So if you're coaching, you're teaching something on a course and then you don't get to put it into practice, then it doesn't help. And obviously, a lot of coaches don't have access to as many matches. So if there is a system by, where some of the clubs are doing it, there are little baby leagues going on in Goa, there's a few of those. If that's more accessible to people, whether even streaming it, and it's happening in other cities in India, then coaches can get exposed to watching youth level. So you're watching a 5-a-side game, you're watching a 7-a-side level, which is more appropriate to what you're coaching. And then when you get into the higher levels of coaching, in terms of technology, again, can we do courses from a coach education point of view where people physically don't have to come there, where we can have more interactions online? And I don't mean just conferences where people are just talking and they're listening. It could be practical demonstrations where we're getting coaches mic'd up, putting on sessions, and it can be interactive. I think going into the higher level, when you get into the professional levels, we need coaches who get exposed to things that like maybe FC Goa are using. They're using sports science, GPS, they're using all that data, which a lot of coaches at the younger levels, you don't get exposed to it on the coaching courses, and unless you work in an ISL club, you won't get to see that. So as a learning, that could be something that's introduced to others. Maybe even GFA could bring in some technology with the Goa Pro League, where the coaches can then have access to it. And I think another thing that other professions have, which football professions own, is internships. And I think if we can get programs where GFDC coaches can do an internship at some of the clubs, or club coaches at inter-village or local level, 3rd division, 2nd division clubs can intern with higher level clubs, you get that learning or transfer of learning, because the learning isn't just in the classroom. So we have to think of creative ways to sort of help coaches develop.
Yeah, I like your last point, Pradyum, which you mentioned, internship of coaches, especially from GFDC going to clubs. But the question is whether the clubs, coaches who are there, whether they are open to get them, or there is still some insecurity in them. That is what has to be seen, but that's a good point. The other one which I wanted to discuss was about technology, which we just discussed upon. And since the start of AI, there are so many things which you just type in what you want and you get it. So for the coaches nowadays, the creativity of planning and thinking what they have to do is getting lesser. That is what I feel. And the planning time is less and they do whatever they want, which on the other side can completely go wrong for us. So that is what one point what I had. Coming to Derek, you are ready for one more? Okay. Do you see whether coaching licenses adequately address the needs of both grassroots, because we have youth coaches and professional coaches? How can they be better catered to different levels?
I think we have the resources, we have the licenses in place to educate our coaches. What is important is we need to have a competitive system and a structure in place. This is the backbone of all the advanced countries for development of players and coaches. If we have that in place, we need competition, which we lack. If we have competition, then coaches will evaluate their performances, improve coaching methods, and create a pathway of continuous improvement. So I think it's very important that we have competition in place. By saying this, we have in ISL team, there are coaches who work with grassroots and youth coaches, and because of the system have gone up to lead or coach, manage the first teams of their countries. So I think it's important that we have more competition. If you go on FIFA analysis, if you see in those countries, an average coach will have 30 to 40 games, including friendlies, in a 10-month season. With that, they have 150 to 200 sessions during that time. So it helps them to grow as coaches, and I think that's the way forward.
Thank you, Derek. I will add to that, as Pradyum has said, if we can have specialized licenses for particular age groups, that will change a lot. And the next thing what I would suggest is, we start from the Blue Cups. We recently started under 13 and under 15. How many coaches sitting here are looking for development rather than getting results? A big question for everybody. If that is not done, how are we going to change the football in Goa? Because every one of us is only interested in winning and not to see the development of the child who's growing. Travel time, diet, nutrition, nothing is being taken care of. So that is where I would try to say. A general question before we are running down of time, a general question for all the four panelists, which I will go with Derek and Shabir sir. Looking ahead, what are the major challenges faced in coach education in Goa and the country?
See, in Goa it is good. Competitive football is there, league is there, even the grassroots and other. In most of the states, it is not there. Sorry to say, in my states, it is not there also, not regular. So it will be very difficult for the coaches to implement, as Derek just now said, competitive football. Then he can learn what is the minus, what is the plus point and how to correct it. If there is no competitive football, if there is no league, then it will be very difficult. And if the league is there, if it is not more number of matches, then also a problem for the coach as well as the player also. After playing for some time, throughout the year they are not doing it. So what I have seen now in my time in Goa, it was not that much after this licensing and all other things. And now the government is also taking interest, it will definitely help if the competitive football is there.
Derek, on the same major challenges faced of coach education in Goa?
I think one of the things is that we, like the sports minister has said, there is infrastructure, but to access to these stadiums or grounds is limited, I feel. Recently, I met one of the PE teachers from Margao, and I asked him, where do you train? And he was like, I take my balls and I take the on the bike and I go all around to see open spaces to train my boys. So this is one of the difficulties we face, I feel. We need to open up the ground for help schools and clubs to provide them with the training facilities.
Thank you, Derek. We will sit together tomorrow and put in some points where we can share it with GFDC and GFA. Coming to Pradyum and Mariano, what are the major challenges coaches face to realize after their education, the impact, their effectiveness, how after coach education, and the development of players?
What I have seen, Savio, is the major problem faced by the coaches. They do everything in the course. What the coach educators tries to tell them, they try to design their training session with the help of the other colleagues in the courses. But when it comes to the individual planning of training session, they fumble, because I think they take football is an individual game rather than it's a team game, and they design training session to improve individual football players away from the game. It should be rather improving players to play in the team contest. That means they have to play along with the other team and they have to get better to play with the team. That means to play with other 10 players in the team. That is the problem faced by the coaches in Goa and in other places in India as well. They take football as an individual game and then they train individually. So this is what I have seen.
Thank you, Mariano. Over to Pradyum. Would you like to add something what Mariano has said on the question?
Yeah, I think a lot of the coaches view licenses as almost just as a simple pathway. They do their D, so a few years later they can do the C, and then the B, and then the A. They're not looking at how they develop as coaches, and I think one of the reasons is in between the licenses we don't offer enough. So somebody who's done his D license, how does he become proficient or capable of doing his C in a few years' time? I think this is where maybe us as senior coaches in the state, because I can speak for myself, and I'm sure Derek a similar thing, Mariana similar thing, and you had the same now at Sporting Goal. How many young coaches come to watch your sessions? So there are coaches who are working in the state every day at high level, but the young coaches who have just done their license, no one's coming to watch, ask questions, be inquisitive, and try and better themselves as coaches. Maybe because of technology, maybe because you can go online and find a session plan, which we couldn't do in our days. So you used to go and watch other coaches, ask questions, and copy, beg, borrow, and steal. I think if coaches aren't doing that, maybe as an organization, as GFDC, we somehow mandate it. And what I mean is organize refresher courses, organize outdoor sessions where coaches can come and watch other coaches doing sessions, like an all-day or two-day event where it's a coaching convention of sorts. And the problem with that always is, the question young coaches always ask, I'm sure a lot of the GFDC coaches will say this, is do I get a certificate for attending this? So we're in that culture where unless you get something, you don't get it, whereas you're actually gaining a lot of knowledge. So whether we shift the change in the culture of the way people think, or we actually do as an organization say, you do get a certificate for attending this, and this is your continuous education, and give points for like CPD learning.
Completely buy your point. I completely buy your point, Pradyum, because I also see some of the coaches who are free all the time, but they think they finish their coaching and my day is done. I don't want to go and see other coaches how they are doing, ask them questions. I completely buy your point. Thank you very much for the full panelists. Before we go, the floor is open for the audience, and you can, one microphone is there behind, you can ask any question to our 4 panelists which are there, because we have got another 12 minutes or so to finish off our session on coaching pre and post license period. Anyone from the audience, please go ahead.
Good evening, audience, and good evening, the panel. Morning, I'm sorry, it's a little time. My name is Anup. Sir, there was a point that you mentioned about youth coaches focusing on results rather than development. From the administrative side, my question is, how do we judge the youth coach in terms of retaining the coach or assessing his performance? Because most administrators may not be attending every youth game at an under 13 or under 15 level to actually understand and look from their own eyes whether a particular coach is essentially working on development or not. And the second part is, what can a youth coach do to better market himself or herself to the administration to relay that he or she is focusing on development rather than results?
Is it for me or for the panelists?
Open to any of the panels and of course yourself as well.
So to be clear, for me or the panelists?
The panel.
I can answer that, Anu. First of all, as you mentioned about how we are going to assess the youth coach, when we have an administration team, there has to be a technical team who understands football. We have too many of people in the administration who don't know football, and they try to teach the coach what they have to do and they themselves don't know anything. That is one reason what I would say. The second question is, when the coach is selected, who is going to watch his practice sessions, whether it is development or whether it is performance based. And I would add to it, where clubs are getting players from Margaon to Panjim for a practice session of 1.5 hours, where the particular boy spends 3 hours in traveling. Is that development? How we are going to take care of it? And is the administration talking to the coach and to the technical team, why are we doing this? Boys are transported like anything. For 1.5 hour practice, they travel about 3 hours of practice. The second point is, when a boy is played and he has got a better opportunity for another club, is the club ready to release him for a better opportunity? That is another question. So there are so many things, I know what we have to look for. But having a technical team who has really played the game and who understands the game, maybe the coach is working a simple example on 1-2 in the practice sessions. And that happens in the game. That is the happiness of the coach. Maybe you will not win the game, but what we have done in the session, the boys are showing you. So that for me is development. When the boy transitions from one age group to another age group, that is what is for me as development, and that is what has to see as development. Any one of you would like to add? Is it okay, Anup?
I would like to say, I think that nobody will get hurt. The thing is that sometimes people without proper knowledge of the game trying to teach people who are having the knowledge of the game. And it applies same in administration as well as coaches. The coach who is conducting the training session and the administration, if he wants to see his development, he should go and see what he is doing in his training session rather than sitting there and dictating terms. And the coach, how he can market is the job. How he does his job is marketing itself for the coach. And that is how you look at a coach. Thank you.
Marketing, I try to forget about, because there is so much of social media nowadays which a particular coach tries to put out. For me, social media is my work. If I do good, these boys go and talk to their parents. When they play the game, you can easily understand what the coach work has been done, and that is what I followed when I was in coach education for about 8 to 10 years. No social media posts. My social media were my student coaches, where they know what is being taught and how they have to go ahead. Thank you very much. Next question, anyone please? Yes, Marcus. Can we get the microphone? That's right.
Sir, just a general question. Do we have enough coaches in Goa? And if we have enough coaches, do they have enough jobs, sir?
If you see, Marcus, I would say we don't have enough coaches. And when it comes to jobs, that was a question which was asked to me once when I was in EIFF in the Exco committee meeting. Why do we do licenses? Then my first answer to them, why do we have so many engineering colleges? Why do we need so many doctors? Sorry? No, I was coming to that because if you see, it's not as started in Goa, but in Mumbai, Bangalore, Delhi, the coaches have their own academies. They try to survive and try to take their daily sustenance or the monthly sustenance through their education what they have got. Are our coaches ready for that? Are our coaches going out and trying to do that? So that is where I would say less coaches. But when there are coaches who doesn't have a job, who's trying to look after them, for them to make better? There are no refresher courses being done. There is no mentoring to be done for the coaches. So how are they going to get better? Some of the coaches, they don't have jobs and they are totally sidelined. Nobody is looking at them. So those coaches for me are more important to be touched upon, to be coached upon, and to be mentored. But I can agree that we have less coaches. But if our coaches, whoever are trying to do licenses, if they can do something on their own, which happens in Bangalore, Bombay, Delhi, which is rampant. So I would go along with that.
Hi, good morning, sir. I had a question about coaching at a younger level. So, at a high school level, so we've all went to, most of us have been to school here. We found that our coaching staff was they were not very educated in teaching the kids how to play. So, is there a way of creating a system where the coaches of schools are taught the basics to coach? So that if they have the caliber and the team is good and they produce good players, then they can actually think that, oh, this can be a career for me. So how can I take this forward and become a senior coach or a more professional coach?
Thank you, Vikram. Before anyone, I will say a few words. There is a D certificate which is starting, which is very, very basic to cater to the needs of the youngsters. But if you hear one point which Pradyum had mentioned, we have to specialize licenses for particular age groups, 5 to 7, 8 to 10, so that would help us. But when you have a D certificate course, and what has happened now, as Derek was just saying, that he did his license only after retiring. But that is not the way it is supposed to be done. You have to do your licenses when you're playing. Now when it comes to coaching the youngsters, if you have a D license, when so many of them were attending, and for me, if you cannot demonstrate a particular pass or receive or running with the ball, then the child is suffering under who he is getting coaching from. So there are courses, but as Pradyum has said, we have to have specialized more. But most of them, they come and attend. And at that level, if you cannot demonstrate, how a child is going to get better? So that is what I think is fundamental for us. When we have coaches, they have to demonstrate, where the kids try to take it upon themselves. If my coach can do it, then I have to do it. So I think that is what is lacking for me at the moment. Pradyum, would you like to add anything for that?
Yeah, I think Derek and I were discussing this before, similar to your point. I think the problem sometimes in schools is the person in charge isn't just catering for football. They have to coach basketball, volleyball, etc. So they're not a specialist in it. The ones who are can obviously attend a D license and etc. and move themselves up, but a few of them do. I think where we can help in that is maybe we should organize a D license or a C license course for PE teachers in the time when it's school holidays, whereby they can do it, because otherwise courses are conducted when they don't get time off to do these. And maybe that should be subsidized because it is a cost, and maybe they choose not to afford it because the ones who spend this are obviously recouping it from their club or other places. So maybe there's a way that we can help with that in terms of it, because yeah, I 100% agree with you. The schools that have very good footballing programs, if they were to have a qualified coach, some of them can obviously hire from outside, but the ones that can't, it would definitely help those players, because then it minimizes the travel time for those kids. They're in the school, the ground is there, etc. So it's a very valid point. I think Derek will add something.
I
think it's a valid point because PE teachers are the ones who deal with kids who are learning. On my way here, I got a call from my friend who worked for SAG, and he said, Eric, I know you're busy today, but please address this issue of training the PE teachers, because the PE teachers just give one ball to the kids and they ask them to play. So it's very important that we train the PE teachers or have something in the system to train them, or we need to find a way.
Yes.
Microphone there behind. Sorry, yes sir.
Brother, my question is to you, because you have raised a very sensitive issue, that is language. I think language is the barrier for the, at least I'm talking about my Goan footballers or the young minds. But apart from this, as you shared your experience during while coaching the young minds, techniques is more important, or the level of confidence what you are developing on the play field is going to give more weightage. Techniques and the level of confidence.
For the players?
Yeah.
Definitely. I think if the players are given proper training and they have good technique, they'll automatically have more confidence, they'll express themselves on the field, and they'll go on to play at a higher level. And I think that's the responsibility of the coaches to impart technique at a young age, because it becomes difficult to do it later. So at the youngest age, if we can focus on technique development, and that will give the players confidence, and then they can go and showcase their skills.
Can I add to that? It is a duty of the coach. If suppose the player is not doing, then his duty is to just give him confidence, just encourage him. Then only he will come up. That is the main thing, I think.
Yeah. Because most of the time what we have observed is that, because football is just such a game that even at the last second we can get the victory or we can lose the game. But during my experience in these 2 years of time when I shouldered the responsibility of the sports minister, because I have witnessed lot many games at the national level, and I have been the witness my own Goa team. When they face a goal in the first half, the moral of the confidence has been lowered down. And what I observed is that the confidence level never shoot up. So in order to avoid all these circumstances and to come out with the same face as when they have entered into the ground, so what is your experience, or what we need to give or impart a training to the young footballers in this case?
Sir, can I answer your question?
Yeah, please.
Sir, there are two things. When we talk about technique in general, and we talk about football technique in particular. So we normally use football technique when we play the game. That is, there are certain things we should talk. Players communicate with the teammates. Based on the communication, they decide what to do, and then they execute the decision. So here, communication, decision, and execution come last. That we call football technique, and that execution is based on communication and deciding when to pass, when to shoot, how to score, how to shoot, based on that particular situation in the game itself. So when we train players, we don't train on individual training, but we create situations for the players to experience what is going to come or what can come in the games when they play. Thank you.
I'll add to this. When we say development, when do we start it? In Goa and even in India, we start at a very late stage, that is under 13 and under 15. But if we need to start very early, and if you have a structure, maybe the parents could be the first teachers, then the grassroots coaches, then the youth coaches, and then the first team coaches. So it takes time. So if you start early, the player by the time he reaches 16, 18, his mind and his muscles will be all trained to make decisions on the ground. And now to the modern football, I mean the top level football, there is very less time and less space to make your decisions. So we have to train those players to play at that level. So we need to start very early.
Sorry, we are running out of time. We will try to have this session one more next time, next year. But before we finish, I would like to thank our panelists for their insights, which we couldn't get more because we ran short of time. And to the audience for engaging with us today. Let's continue to support and develop coach education and coaching for us, for Goa, to bring back the glory days which we are here for these 2 days back into football. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Savio, for a very interactive session. I also thank the panelists for their valuable inputs. I also did have questions, but because of time, we could not continue with the session. The second topic of the summit is on professional clubs, changes in the football landscape, problems faced, threats, and expectations. The moderator is Shri Marcus Merguliao, Sports Editor, Times of India. The panelists are Shri Srinivas Dempo, Chairman Dempo Group of Companies. Dr. Sagar Salgaonkar, Director, Geno Sports Club. Shri Vikram Salgaonkar of CD Salgaonkar. And Ravi Pushkar, CEO of FC Goan. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. We shall now start the second topic of the summit, professional club. Changes in the football landscape, problems faced, trends and expectations. Our panelists, our moderator is Shri Marcus Merguliao, Sports Editor, Times of India. The panelists are Shri Srinivas Dempo, Chairman, Dempo Group of Companies. Dr. Sagar Salgaonkar, Director, Geno Sports Club. Shri Vikram Salgaonkar of CD Salgaonkar. And Ravi Pushkar, CEO of FC Goan. Marcus Merguliao.
Can I request everyone to please take their seats? Can I request the panelists to take up their seats? So Srinivas Tempo, Dr. Sagar Salgaonkar, Vikram Sargonkar and Ravi Kuspur. Good morning, everyone. I'm indeed very honored to have been asked to moderate this session on professional clubs, changes in the football landscape, problems faced, threats and expectations. Since becoming a sports journalist about 25 years ago, I've been fortunate to cover Goan football very closely. I think in the last 25 years, I must have watched almost every game, every high profile or a top tier game at Fatorda. And I've seen a huge change, right from the days of the National Football League, the semi-professional league, then the I-League, and finally the Indian Super League, which is supposed to be the most professional one. I remember in the good old days, when I just started my career, after the end of the match, I used to travel in the Dempo team bus from Fatorda to Panjim. And then from Panjim, one of the players used to drop me to the office. In between, we would stop somewhere in a roadside stall, eat some Chinese fried food, and then I would go back to the office. Now things have changed so much that forget about traveling in the team bus. You cannot even get anywhere close to the bus. So things have changed. Things have changed drastically. Whether it is for the good of football, we have to debate. That is why we have all gathered here. In the good old days, I had a lot of friends who were footballers, particularly from Dempo Sports Club, because a lot of them were national team players. So we used to meet on a regular basis, we used to chat on a regular basis, we used to have phone conversations. Now it's very difficult to get in touch with players, forget about being friends, because the stakes are much higher. Because of match fixing, match manipulations, match fixing accusations, not many players try and be in regular touch with you. You have to go through an agent, you have to go through their representatives, their officials, or maybe the club media officer. We are today discussing changes in the football landscape. Football has changed quite a lot. If in 2004, 2005, we had 6 teams in the National Football League, which was the top tier at that time. Out of the 6 teams, there were 4 teams in the top 6. I remember Dempo became champions for the first time that year. Sporting Club finished second. But now we have only 1 team in the top tier, which is the FC Goa in the Indian Super League. Until last year, there was only 1 team in the I-League, which is Churchill Brothers. Now we have Dempo making a comeback into the top tier. With so much of rich history for Goan football, it is time for us to find out whether we can get back to the glory days and what it will take for us to revive Goan football. To discuss this, we have a very eminent panel, and I'm really honored to be moderating this session. First of all, Chairman of Dempo Group of Companies and President of Dempo Sports Club, Sir Srinivas Dempo. He needs no introduction. A well-known name in Indian football, Sir Srinivas Dempo has seen days when his team was considered the best in the country. They won a record 5 National League titles. Dempo became the first team to make it to the semi-finals of the AFC Cup, which was the 2nd tier Asian Football Cup competition. There was a time when Dempo was so good that even Bollywood star Shah Rukh Khan wanted to be associated with the team. Those were the days. That was the standard of Goan football. Next we have Dr. Sagar Sargonkar. Welcome, Sir Dempo. Next we have Dr. Sagar Sargonkar, Managing Director of Gino Pharmaceuticals and Director of Gino Sports Club. Gino actually has a very long association with sports. I don't know if people remember this, not many know that Gino was the first company that started sponsoring sports awards. So the Gino Sports Awards, which were given by the Sports Journalists Association of Goa, was very popular, where the best sports persons were honored on an annual basis. Gino also has a cricket team, and now they've got into professional football. I'm pleased to have Dr. Sagar Sargonkar here. There's Vikram Sargonkar here as well. He is the director of the newly found Club de Sargonkar. The club may have been new, but Vikram Sargonkar is not new to football. since his younger days, he's seen Sarvankar winning trophies. He's been associated with the team. He was in the forefront when FC Goa was launched in the Indian Super League in 2014. It was not uncommon to see Vikram attending football training of FC Goa at Tilak Maidan. I used to see him regularly there. And now he plans to do the same with Club de Sarvankar. Welcome, Vikram. And my good friend Ravi Puskur. He's been in Goa since 2015, starting with the media team first, then becoming the sporting director, and now the CEO of FC Goa. FC Goa has now become a very, very big brand, a very, very popular brand, not just in Goa but across the country as well. For the way the club was run, for the way it started off initially, with 2015 being an all-time high. I don't remember any other year in my career where people paid 5 times the price for a ticket. I remember a 500 rupee ticket was being sold for 2,500 for the final. And people are willing to pay anything. That actually was a real high. Welcome, Ravi. I'll start with Sir Srinivas Tempo. So how do you look at the current football landscape in Goa? Like I said earlier, we had at one stage 6 teams in the top tier. Whether for good or bad reasons. Now that Tempo are back into the I-League, can we have Tempo achieving the same standard of excellence that you had, say at your peak in 2012 when you last won the league title? And I remember the team spent around 13 crores only on the team. So if a company can spend 13 crores, say about 12 years ago or 10 years ago, do you think a similar investment can revive Tempo, and would that be the right strategy to just pump in money and win trophies?
Thank you, Marcos. First of all, let me thank the GFDC, the Government of Goa and the GFA for organizing such a brainstorming session. I really enjoyed all the coaches' sessions. I know all the coaches personally. Their contribution to football, and it was really value added and education for me to sit and watch, hear them. Also, I would like to thank my friend Albert and my friend Marcus for inviting me. It's a real pleasure to be with all of you this morning. And I'll try and answer Marcus's question about what I think there is a lot to be desired for performance. We can see that whether it's our performance for all the national tournaments, whether it is crowds coming in for local games. I remember, the derby between Tempo and Salgaonkar was actually, there was no place to stand, forget about sitting. And why do we not have those crowds today? So obviously we need to introspect where Goan football is going. And as a little gesture from our side, when we took the very bold decision to opt out of the I-League, we said that one of the biggest things that we need to do is improve performance. And we need to give access to more kids to play football, to be good in them, and said that we need a professional setup. So we took a very courageous decision of setting up a football academy at a very, very, the investment, I can be public about it. We've close to spend about 25 crores now on the football academy. We have 2 grounds, 1 artificial turf, 1 natural turf. Pradyum has again proposed another natural turf. So we are going to have 3 grounds in one place. Plus we have the 5-a-side, 7-a-side kind of a smaller facility. We have an in-house academy. So why I'm trying to tell you all this is, professional club football contribution is very, very important. And I was just talking to Shabir Ali, and he says, unless professional footballs come into Goa on a bigger scale, it will be, we just can't blame the government. The government has created infrastructure. I think somewhere down the line, what Savio said is, we need those grounds to be used. And can we have a proper viable program between the government and private clubs to use those grounds very professionally? Because government creates infrastructure, but somebody has to maintain it, and it has to make economic sense. So the performance as a whole, the regulatory body, which is the GFA, the higher regulatory body, which is the AIFF, again their calendars don't match, it creates problems. So I think we need to evaluate the whole ecosystem and the climate to just see that, we focus on grassroots development, we focus on great coaching, and that's how we get Goa back on the street. Coming to our club, as I said, we took a very, very bold decision of opting out along with Salgaonkar and Sporting. And I'm very, very happy to say that, the efforts that we made to come up, and as you rightly said, just to correct, when we left in 2012, we used to spend 15 crores. So I thought that, even charity has to be sustainable. And at one point in time, I remember you took my interview when, you wrote that in bold, that I said one has to be foolishly passionate to run a football club like this, where you don't earn anything and you keep on spending so much money. And the same experience was when we ran FC Goa, Vikram and myself and his father Dattaraj ran FC Goa. We also found that, you have to have deep pockets to keep on investing money into football. We don't mind it from Dempos, but at the end of the day, we have to see development of football in the state and in the country. But it's a good start. We've made it back into I-League. Thanks to our coaching staff, thanks to our players, thanks to the professional setup that we have in the academy. And mind you, we have almost 5 to 6 boys from our football academy who will be playing in the under. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Moving on to Dr. Sagar next. Gino has a long association with sports, football, particularly professional football. Is a recent addition. Gino has a long association with sports, like I said before, but football is a new addition, a very, very recent one, particularly professional football. We were playing in the first division earlier. At a time when a lot of companies are not willing to invest into football, what made Gino take up a direct entry in the Goa Pro? What made Gino take up a direct entry in the Goa Pro League at a time when most of the companies don't want to invest into football simply because there are no returns? And like Mr. Dempo said, you have to be foolishly passionate to be investing in football.
Yeah, see at the outset, I would like to thank GFDC, GFA for having organized this session and inviting me here. Thank you so much for that. As you said, Gino has got a lot of a long association with sports. Gino Sports Club was founded by my father, Mr. Dilip Salgaonkar, almost 30-35 years back. We've been in various sporting activities, be it cricket, primarily cricket, but we've also been having our own, as you mentioned, the Gino Sports Award in association with the Journalist Association of Goa. And for all these years, we've made a conscious effort to recognize good performances in sports in our own way, encourage sports in Goa, encourage sports persons in Goa. And to a large extent, we've been relatively successful when it comes to